Yeah, I'm gonna start the recording just to so I won't forget it. I started
Oh
recording
yeah,
the
yeah.
calls in January. That way, so I'm loading them up on YouTube on my new YouTube channel. So that way you'll be able to access it, and it'll probably be a good like dry run also for your TED Talk, right? You'll be able to
Oh
reference
yeah.
it and what have you. How's everything?
Good man. I feel good, dude. I got just good things going on right now. I'm kind of settling in Fresno. I just got approved. I'm gonna be a substitute teacher. I'll do that for the next year, and then I'm gonna start construction on building my small house. So I'm super excited about that. It's kind of cool to me. It's like 499 square feet. But when I complete that, then I want to set off to Europe or Asia for a year or two to kind of keep my road trip going. But I got to just hunker down right now and make some moves.
Yeah, let me know all the different places you're visiting because I'm on this same vibe. I just came back from Costa Rica. Last month I was
Yeah,
in Guatemala. Remember that one call I was in the
I
jungle,
do.
and I'm looking to continue the vibe, continue traveling. I have like a couple of places in mind, and really where I want to focus my um, yeah, my where I'm looking to focus my travels is to like go to like heart-centered communities, right? Where they're like high spiritual vibe communities of like-minded individuals where you just go and there's it's just it's like seamless. You have community everywhere you go. You're like welcome
Yeah,
basically with open arms. I don't know how are you doing your travels,
like in terms of
like choosing the location, just like
just going for it.
uh,
Yeah, I won't plan any of Europe. I'll just touch down in Germany and then I'll just start catching flights to different countries pretty much.
okay,
Just figure it out as I go. Bring my backpack and my gear in case I get into a pinch.
nice, nice. Well, let me know. I appreciate any travel tips, yeah, as I prepare on this end.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome Rocio, welcome Melanie, welcome Maggie, welcome Christy. First time having Christy on our call. Great. We usually wait a couple minutes to let everybody trickle in. We have about 18 people that said they would show up, and I already see a few people here that didn't say they were going to show up. So we'll see how many show up. Let's give it to about maybe 6:05, and we'll get the ball rolling here with Noah as our guest speaker. So excited to have him speak. We'll do a formal introduction in a few minutes. We'll let everybody come on the call. Welcome, Josh. We have an inspiring speaker today. And an upcoming, I didn't even mention this in our invitation. He's an upcoming panel speaker for a TED Talk in April, right? Maybe
Yeah,
you can
April
touch on that.
14th.
Hmm.
April 14th, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. The topic is determination. And the title of my presentation is called Moving Mountains of Disbelief.
Mm, appropriate. Welcome, Rose. Welcome, Maggie. I don't think we've had you on our call before. Nice to have you here.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that, Noe. You know, it's amazing how things unfold. And someone had been watching my story unfold on TikTok,
Hmm.
and they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, I want you to come speak." And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And then they were like, "Okay, it's a TED Talk." I was like, "All right, let's do it."
Wow. So this is something that just kind of fell on your lap. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's
Most
kind of how
people,
I.
yeah.
I was gonna say that's kind of how I travel too. You're asking earlier, like when I took my son to Iceland a few months ago. I mean, we didn't do any planning. We just pretty much lined up the vehicle and the flights, and then just let everything flow. Didn't look at, didn't pre-look at anything. Everything was a surprise. So it wasn't like we looked at pictures and said, "I want to go there." We just kind of let everything flow.
Wow. I love it. You just show up and you're like, huh, I'm gonna maybe stay over here.
Exactly. Yeah, no Airbnbs lined up. Just flow with it, man. Just see where the car takes us and what we feel like doing for the day.
Welcome, Christina.
Hi. Good to
Hi,
see you guys. Hello.
guys.
Hi, Noah.
Hey, Christina.
And we have a awesome speaker today. I think most of the people here are familiar with Noah. Very inspiring story. So looking forward to it. Let's give it maybe one more minute, see who else trickles in, and we'll just get on our way. And I'm sure we'll have more people on the call. Well, let's get the introduction kind of going here, and then I'm sure Noah has plenty to say it, and he does have a Toastmaster meeting at 7, so he will have to end the call promptly on his end. So let's honor his time. He's here on time. It's 6:04. We have Noah talking on the topic of the mountains are calling and I must heal. A little bit about Noah. His journey began in the streets of Salinas, from becoming a successful loan officer, a loving father, dedicated husband, real estate investor, to an outdoor adventurer, a mountain man. Despite facing adversity, he excelled in his career, reaching millionaire status. Noah faced a pivotal moment in time. At age 40, he had a major heart attack, separation from his wife of 23 years, and grappling with suicidal depression. This event really rocked the core of his world, but he was determined, and through this determination, he embarked on a transformative journey. Thus, the mountains are calling, and I must heal. Really is what encapsulates the journey that he went on. That we're so lucky to be inspired today. So a little bit about the things that he's done in conquering mountains. Super impressive when I'm looking at this. Noah emerged as a mountain man, conquering 486-mile Colorado Trail, 486 miles. Then a 245-mile John Muir Trail, and 31 of the 58 Colorado's 14,000 peaks. Wow. That's amazing, right? So, as a winter mountaineer, Noah not only conquered physical and mental challenges, but also connected deeply with nature, showcasing his steadfast commitment to fully embracing the richness of life and connecting to nature. He understands tomorrow is not promised, and in November 2021, he embarked on this new journey, a road trip that lasted 547 days which became a transformative experience of a lifetime that served as the source of his healing. So, without further ado, let's welcome Noah as he touches on his healing journey. Welcome, Noah.
All right. Thank you so much, Noe, and thank you everyone for allowing me this opportunity to speak. So really, at 40 years old, my life was just in complete disarray. I was facing a massive mountain of disbelief that really seemed insurmountable to me. At 40 years old, I suffered a major heart attack. Me and my high school sweetheart, I was married to Dana. We were together for over 23 years, and we separated. We were actually separated before my heart attack, but living under the same roof, and we just didn't mend our marriage. And then we became millionaires together too. So to have my heart attack and to lose my wife's heart, it just all came crashing down on me. It's just like everything was vanity. All the hard work that I had done, I was working 6 days a week pretty regularly in my occupation and was doing pretty good, but I was suffering. My anxiety and my stress was extremely high. Dana would call me Jekyll and Hyde sometimes because my personality could just be up and down. It's kind of just, I don't want to make excuses. I know the source of it, and I know that I've fixed that in my life. I don't see myself that anyway. I'm not that way. I think it was just dealing with a lot of the pressures and stress of my work career. And then I just fell into a suicidal depression. After my heart attack, I was pretty much fear stricken. I was afraid to move. I'm a mover, Noe. I've always been a mover. And I found myself just laying in my bed, completely paralyzed in fear, like fear stricken. Every little twinge in my body was like, well, what if it happens again? What if I have another heart attack? Real quickly, I'll tell you, a lot of people ask. So I was doing intense interval training that day with U.S. Navy SEAL Paul Watson, high intensity. About 15 minutes after my workout, I started sweating profusely. Doctors believe that a piece of plaque was dislodged in my body from that intense physical workout. And that little piece of plaque went straight to my widowmaker, the main artery in my heart, and it blocked it 100%. So I was having a major heart attack. I am a heart warrior. I have a stent in my heart. That was 5.5 years ago. 9 months after, the doctors cleared my heart, 100% recovery. But before I go into that, I was laying in my bed completely fear-stricken, watching my whole life just basically fall apart in front of me, right? I mean, that was my high school sweetheart, the first woman and only woman I had been with. And I was just laying in bed, just literally, there was like a 3 or 4 day period I remember where no light was coming in. It was just this hopelessness, this like intense darkness was all around me. And I remember I wanted to go in my shed. I remember that I wanted to commit suicide. There was like no light. It was something that I've never experienced before. And I pray that I'll never experience it again. And I was constantly reminded of my heart attack. I had to wear a life vest, which is like this artificial defibrillator in case it happened again. So I found myself at the front row of church, right? Just sitting in the front row. It was a pretty huge church, and just week after week, just by myself. I mean, me and my wife were so distant at that point. I didn't even ask her to come. And I'd just be weeping and mourning. And, the reality is that I really haven't been able to stop mourning or weeping. I cry every day for the last 5.5 years. My heart went from being in a very hard place, to just like completely just breaking down all the walls in my heart, just making me super sensitive, and which I think is a good thing now. I like to feel everything so deeply. So it's like in the midst of my despair, I will say the mountains were calling me. I remember I turned to my wife and I just said, I have to do something here. I'm like in really bad shape. And my father always said, don't go to the snow-covered mountains. But I was being called to the mountains, like John Muir says, the mountains are calling and I must go. And I just felt like it was calling me. So I went to the mountains for 2 days. It was 18 degrees each night. This was in the Sierra Nevada. I just got my dog, my gear, and my Bible. And I didn't really know what to expect, but I just felt like so compelled to go there. And I remember it was in complete solitude. It was my second night on the mountain, and I got out of my tent. It was, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 at night. And my beagle was tucked deep away inside the sleeping bag. And I stepped out of my tent, and it was just, it was a full moon that night. And I was completely alone. It's like one of those things where if I have a heart attack, like no one's going to be there to save me, right? That's going to be game over. And I was just in a complete place of clarity. And I just remember tears were just like flooding down my face. And I raised my hands up to the heavens and I just was like, you know what, God, if you're going to take me, then take me. But I'm not going to live my life in fear. And I made that declaration, and I really didn't realize that declaration hit me pretty hard because it just started flipping switches in me. I used to be afraid of heights, and I've been above 14,000 feet 50 times now. So I'm not going to say I'm not afraid of heights, but I hang out on the side of the mountains now, and it's like the most completely liberating feeling. I absolutely love it. And I've been on a healing journey ever since. That event was in September of 2018, and I've just been on this wild healing journey. November of 2021, I always dreamed of doing a road trip, and after you have a serious health event like that, and just kind of it just changes your whole perspective on life. And can you hear me okay, Noe?
Yes. You
Okay,
cut
just
out for
want
a
to make sure.
second, but you're back.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
It just really changed my perspective on everything. It's like, you have one shot. This life isn't a practice run, and you walk around. For me, I was walking around with a lot of anxiousness. I was starting to develop resentment towards my wife or this and that. And, to walk around with the root of bitterness, or to walk around and wake up with anxiousness and always feeling like I was gonna, go to war or get down, like who's gonna call me and come at me sideways today, and always rolling up my work sleeves. And it's like, let's go, who's up, and it was just taking its toll on me. It was 4 months after my heart attack where I really felt completely decompressed from work. I was carrying so much stress for so long. And once I tasted what it felt like to feel peace and joy, I was just like, how do I go back to that? How do I put myself back in that situation? Like, I couldn't even put a price tag on it, Noe. I couldn't even put a price tag on it. I felt peace and joy, and I was like, man, like, I don't want to. I didn't want to let that go. I didn't want to let that go. It just felt very healing, and it felt like that was the right flow and that was the right state that I needed to be in. So, I really started I decided like I wanted to do what I love the most, which is being in the mountains, right? I grew up, as a Boy Scout. My father and parents were always taking us backpacking. All through high school, my dad would take me backpacking. Even in my marriage, I was like a weekend warrior here and there. But I just wanted to do something that I love to do and that I found a lot of joy and fulfillment out of. And I just really just started embracing the mountains, just walking and walking in the mountains. Noe, I could walk. When I did the John Muir Trail, it was 15 days straight. I averaged 17 and a half miles a day with all my gear, with, elevation gains of 3,000 feet every day. I mean, it's a lot of walking, right? Colorado Trail, same thing, 40 days, 40 nights, just every day walking. Waking up and walking in the mountains literally all day long. I could do that all the time. I just love it, right? And then, I had the dream. I was like, I've always dreamt about doing a road trip, always dreamt about it. And it was October, November of 2021. I was like, okay, let's do it. I had finished a big real estate project, and I was like, I was determined to go, and I didn't really want to acquire new debt. I didn't have a fancy RV. I didn't have like a Mercedes Sprinter van that was converted. I basically had my car and I had the will to go. So I went to Home Depot, bought some lumber. I took out the passenger seat here. I'll show you guys. I took my bed out because I just had several buddies that joined me in Yosemite. But normally there's a bed in there because I love having my bed in my car now. I went to Home Depot. I bought lumber, put a bed, went on Amazon, ordered a bed, had my bed. I figured as long as I have my bed and a place to sleep in a pinch, right? I'll figure it out, right? I'll figure it out. My walk-in closet with all my work shirts and all my ties and all color coordinated. It was down to like 3 bins of clothes, right? 3 bins of clothes, right? My underwear, my socks, my just 3 bins, right? Less my mountaineering gear, because my mountaineering gear takes up a little bit of space, my big puffy jackets and stuff like that. And then I just hit the road. And people would say, well, how long are you going to be gone for, Noah? And I was like, I really don't know. Like, I'm just going to go. And it was a month, and then it was 3 months, and then it was 6 months. And I was like, man, I'm going to do a year, right? I'm going to go for a year, right? I did in 2022, I backpacked thousands of miles across America. I visited 17 national parks, many national forests and state parks along the way. I am a 4 season guy. I love all 4 season. I don't like the dead of summer. The dead of winter, I'll do. I'm a mountaineer, right? I like to climb peaks in the dead of winter with snow and no one else is there. It's, the parking lots are empty. It's just only man on the mountain, maybe a buddy goes with me. But it just feels so incredibly liberating and so like, it's just such an incredible feeling. You run off an enormous amount of this mountain energy. Not a lot of people know what that is or can relate to that. Um, it's an incredible amount of like mountain peace and tranquility. And then, you get to the top of the peak and you just see the view everywhere. And I mean, most of the time I get to the top of the peak, I'm like crying. And, walking in wilderness has just been really healing for me. It's just been really healing for me. So I was on the road for a year, and then I just was like, well, like I want to keep it rolling. So I ended up being on the road for 547 days, pretty much everything from New Mexico up to Canada. Like I was just doing a loop. I did that loop a handful of times. I mean, Utah multiple times, Washington, Oregon, Colorado. I spent 5 months in Colorado just skiing, and I was just determined to go, and it was such a healing experience for me. I mean, I spent a lot of time alone. I realized I don't want to be alone. At my heart a father. I'm at my heart, I'm a husband, even though my marriage didn't work out. So, that trip, I wasn't alone the whole time. My son flew in 3 times. He met me in Washington. He met me in Colorado. He met me. He met me in Utah. And then I had several friends that met me along the way for weeks and weeks at a time. So I was probably alone like maybe 70-75% of the time. But it was such a healing journey. I have some notes on like what I learned along the way. I could share those, and I could also say if anyone has any questions that you can feel free and ask those questions. But ultimately, I just found a tremendous amount of healing just walking in nature, being alone with God. I've kind of have my rituals now. I love to listen to positive Christian music every morning. I do cry every single day since my heart attack. I've shared that. I always thought it was something that was just going to turn off, and then I just realized like God just made my heart like super soft, like super compassionate. It could be a little bit overwhelming sometimes. Just it's not that I wasn't a compassionate person. I just think I got so caught up in my work career and stuff. It was just like getting shit done, just fucking go, 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 like get the fuck out of my way. Like I got shit to do. And I started like losing myself. And I think once I refound myself, I knew that I was a different person. And I know I'll never go back to that. That's an old part of my life, an old part of just an old part of this journey that I was on, this crazy journey that I was on, like, and I mean, there's just so many lessons I've just, learned just along this process. I took notes here, fear is a liar. I mean, fear is a liar. I laid in my bed completely terrified. At 9 months, doctors told me that my heart was 100% cleared. 2 days later, I competed in my first triathlon. The following weekend, I did Clouds Rest. So the day of my hike, I had a 22-mile day hike planned. It was a 9,000-foot elevation gain. I always think, man, if I would have done that hike, like, would I have died in the mountains? Um, so after my 9-month heart clearance, I went back and I did Clouds Rest, and it was just a super emotional, like, and it was just all like being in nature and being vulnerable. Like there was no, I couldn't just pick up the phone and have the ambulance come and save me, right? It's like if something happens, that's it. Like there's no one going to be there to get you. And I just started putting myself in these real vulnerable positions where I had to rely on God and I had to rely on my faith. And it just pulled me through. Um, some of the things I learned along the journey, it's like you have to forgive yourself. It took me such like I just was I felt so much like I mean, just how I was in my marriage, like just like my wife would say, I was like Jekyll and Hyde. I felt so much remorse for that. Like I was like Jekyll and Hyde at times. Like, what the heck? But I had to forgive myself. I have to I had to forgive myself, and I guess it's still hard. I know that God forgives me. I know that my ex-wife forgives me. She's told me many times, and it's hard to forgive yourself too sometimes. Um, you have to keep moving. That was a big takeaway from my whole health event. And I think I've always been that way, but part of our healing journeys, I just feel like you have to keep moving. You can't, couldn't just lay in the bed, couldn't just lay on the couch. No, like get up and heal. If it's just walking in the neighborhood. For me, I love walking in nature. That's where I find the most healing. You can't bear the best fruit with a hard heart. Like I see where I was at that time in my life and where I am now, and I love the man that I am now. And even though I was like an amazing provider and this really hard worker, I didn't really love the person that I was. I started to hate who I was. Like, um, you got to forgive yourself. Tomorrow's not promised, stop and smell the roses. I was a hardcore future thinker most of my life. About 4 months before my heart attack, right when I knew that we were going to become millionaires, I was trying to future think like our next goals. Like I was like, okay, like is it going to be 3 million? Like what's the next goal, right? And I couldn't future think. I was just like, what is going on? This is so weird. Like I can't even. I've been future thinker since I grew up in Salinas. I had to future think just to get out of all the bullshit of growing up in the hood. And then all of a sudden I couldn't future think. And then I had my heart attack, and I was like, wow, like this is insane. Like it makes sense now. So I don't spend a whole lot of time in the future anymore. I I do my best just to live day by day and stop and smell the roses and just appreciate all the small things in life. And I think that is part of why I'm like super sensitive now, because I'm constantly stopping to just like savor life, right? Like this is not a practice run. This is like one shot, right? And just stopping to savor all the moments, it just makes me super sensitive. Got to be kind to yourself. Leading up to my heart attack, I was calling myself a fucking loser on the regular because I hadn't paid off our existing home. We already had a house paid off, we had an apartment complex paid off. I was really hard on myself. So, you got to be kind to yourself. I'm not saying don't push yourself and, don't strive for things, but if you're calling yourself an effing loser on the regular, that's not really healthy. Um, I don't think there's growth in that state. Um, Definitely treat your body and mind like a temple, right? This is all we have right here. What are we putting into our minds, right? Our minds are so like the music we listen to and the people we have around us. I mean, and then what we eat and what we drink, what we're putting into our bodies. Really, really treat your body with how it needs to be treated. We can control that. There's a lot maybe we can't control, but we can control what we eat. We can control if we decide to walk or not. That's a little bit of my journey. um,
I still appreciate you being so vulnerable with us and sharing so much insights, right? What I hear you saying is you learn to really be in a state of gratitude and appreciation for the gift, just
hmm,
in the now, right? Just really savoring the sensitivity
hmm,
is just like the gratitude. I mean, like, wow, it's like, wow, chills. That it's, I mean, you could truly see it in the way you are expressing yourself. Just what, what a valuable gift you're giving us today, right? Of also being kind and gentle with ourselves. Because I was the same way. I love to suffer. I feel like that's a thing with humanity. We love to cause our own suffering with this right here, our mind. The stories that we go round and round and round. And it's so easy to
hmm.
get caught up in that and to lose sight of how beautiful all the gifts around us, the fact that we're alive. I'm sure people probably have some reflections, some insights, some questions. Um, or did you have something else that you wanted to reflect on? Or looks like maybe Rose, do you have a comment or?
Yes, first I want to say thank you for sharing your healing journey, and really thank you for opening up for your vulnerability. And I love what you said earlier, that when you said something about like God has to soften my heart. Oh my God, that hits home to me because growing up, we develop this defensive mechanism, or our heart becomes really just defensive and hard, that we never let anything or anyone in. We think by being tough and by always trying to be someone, or attaining something, that's how we can feel valued, loved, and that we matter, right? We want to feel like we matter by doing all this external stuff. And then one day, when you said like God has to soften my heart and really make me realize that it's not about the external value, whatever external validation, materialistic stuff, it's none of that. It's here. It's softening your heart, opening your heart. And that's what I'm learning too, is how to soften my heart and peel the layers one by one. And I also love what you said about really being kind to ourselves, and a lot of self-forgiveness. And we grew up really, I guess for me it's because it's a survival thing, that no one's gonna be there for me. I gotta do it myself. I have to do this. And so but one day God or universe will will find a way to kind of just like, no, that's it's time to let go and surrender. So thank you for that. Thank you. I thank you for sharing your story and your vulnerability. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rose. Do we have someone else that would like to maybe ask Noah a question, have a reflection? Christina.
Hey.
Hey,
Again,
Christina.
I echo thank you. I echo Rose. It's beautiful to so deeply resonate with your story, almost uncannily so. I too have suffered from a heart event, and recently have been brought back into that space, finding out that my biological actually died very young at 36 from this genetic heart issue. But I did the same thing. It's like, it almost feels like instead of like a curse or something, like a gift, like touched by the hands of God. And I did the same thing where I was almost crippled with fear, even going, the doctors were so nervous of me, even like going down the flight of my stairs to my mailbox. And it was a moment of like, I am not going to live like this anymore. I'm not going to live in fear. And so hearing you say that has touched me so deeply and so intimately, that you also made that declaration. Thank you for sharing. Very, very beautiful. I love seeing your journeys and your adventures online. And then also, I guess my question was, how has your journey impacted the quality of your relationships with family, with friends? You know, I for a little while I had like my pre friends and my post friends, and now I'm seeing, as I like ground through this process, that my friendships that I had almost let by the wayside for a while, where I was really focused on my inner journey, have like surfaced in a way that it's like this beautiful reintegration. So I'm kind of curious about how your journey has impacted your relationships.
You know, I have a lot of beautiful people in my circle, a lot of beautiful people. But my inner circle is pretty small. The people that I communicate with daily. I mean, I have a beautiful relationship with my son. my ex-wife and I mean, I saw her the other day and we actually hugged for the first time in 5 years. So, there's been a lot of healing there. And, I have a small circle of people, but I just care about them deeply and they're very close to me. And I value that tremendously.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome, Christina.
Wonderful. Looks like Gretchen, she posted a question on the chat. She said, what role did God play in your life before this experience? And then she has a next question. How has your relationship with God changed since?
Yeah, I always had a strong faith. I remember leading up to my heart attack. Maybe it was probably like a year before my heart attack. I was in my men's leadership at church. I mean, I was teaching uh teaching raising in a modern day night. You know, I, I was like it was like a year before my heart attack. I just let go of everything. I was like, this is just too much. I'm doing too much, right? I was on committees and stuff. I just kind of let everything go. Stopped going to church, like I kind of just started like closing into myself, I think. It just felt like I just was so out of my character trying to do all these different things. Um, and then, I had my heart attack and like I just, I never asked God why one time. It was just like God literally had to bring me to my knees, literally my hands and knees, Noe, just breathing rapidly. Like God had to bring me there. And then it was just like all the pain and like all the suffering and like wanting to commit suicide. Like that still makes me cry. Like I was so dark that I wanted to take my life. And then God just had like this, it was just like this beautiful plan through it. Like all the healing started emerging and like just making me rediscover myself. Like I couldn't ask for a better gift, Noe. Like I try to think of the most beautiful days of my life, and then my heart attack constantly comes up. I don't even understand it. Like through all that pain, like God just softened my heart, man. Like I can't even understand how it works. But my relationship with God, I mean, I love the Lord. I love the Lord. I mean, I love the Lord. I wanna love on other people. I want to follow his commandments, love God and love others. That's like a big deal. I want to be a kind person. I don't always share my faith, but I hope that my light shines through. On my road trip, I probably cooked for because I am a heart survivor. So even though I was living on the road, I mean, I have my Yeti in the back, and I always had fresh meat and fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. So I was constantly cooking at trailheads or at parks in these small little towns up in Colorado. And then, I would see backpackers and through hikers. I probably cooked for at least 30 men, just calling them over. Hey, can I cook you a meal? Or, hey, can I treat you to a cup of coffee? Just, trying to do these things like breaking bread like Jesus did, right?
Beautiful. I really feel what you're giving testimony to is to a concept that I've learned that I've been reflecting in my own life and that I see in other people's lives that gems are born through trial and tribulation, that breakdowns are those breakthroughs. I mean, wow, that what you're alluding to is so beautiful, right? You see the beauty and perfection in the darkest of times, and that's really what refined you, what made you shine. Look at you. I mean, you are so inspiring, and I know that everybody on this call I mean, the way you're coming across, your light is bright, very bright.
Thank you, Noe. Thank you.
Any other reflections, um, questions? I know we all have our trials and tribulations, and the testimony and the journey that Noah is sharing with us is something that is so inspiring that can help us see the other side of the coin, right? See the light in the darkness. I mean, in actuality, think about it. how can there be light if there was no darkness? And how could there be darkness if there was no light? Really alludes to what we're doing here as human, right? The human experience, what it's all about. Puts things into context.
Yeah, you never know what anyone is going through, and you find yourself quick with your tongue or gossiping or talking shit. It's like you don't have any idea what that person is going through, what their journey looks like, what they're facing at home or all the different things. It's like walk in kindness. Like I just imagine Jesus just walking around and the great prophets and leaders of our time just being kind and loving on people. And that's really what I moved to embrace. It's been like just kind of personally with me, men, it comes more naturally. I think on my road trip, I only cooked for one woman the whole time. Um, I was married for so long and so protective of that space. Like I didn't want another woman to come in and I didn't want to fall, like, you know what I mean? So even now, like just opening myself up to even just extend that to women. And I still, for me personally, I still feel like I have to like be careful of that just because I found Noe a lot of people trust me, right? And they've really trust me since I was a kid, right? And I just I want to continue to have that trust and not abuse it or not misuse it. So I feel like I'm opening my circle up even more to like women. I went backpacking while I was in Yosemite 3 weeks ago. I had planned a youth event and then it fell out. I was trying to get a bunch of young, youth out, young men. And then I posted on my Facebook, like, hey, I'll open it up like co-ed, basically. Whoever wants to roll with me. And it was cool. It was a really cool experience. So I want to open myself up more and just basically, love on more people. I know what my intentions are and I know where my heart's at. And anyways, that's just something that I've been like dealing with and processing.
Right now, I feel that I used to have the same perspective that you did. Like, I must protect the sanctity of my relationship and, you know, like arm's length with women or other
Yeah.
women was a thing. But but as our heart opens up, we see how beautiful and innocent we really are, and like, it's like, oh, it's like something I think it's maybe I don't know where it came from, but I feel the same vibe that you expressed like for a long time.
Yeah.
Just an awareness now, and it creates more opportunities to really extend our love and heart to a greater audience, right? And not just men, but also women.
Yeah.
Any other reflections, questions? Oh, by the way, Gretchen said, thank you for sharing your testimony. Glory to God. So
Thank you,
thank you,
Gretchen. You're
Gretchen.
very welcome. Does anyone out there love being in nature a lot? For a lot of women too, they carry this dynamic of maybe it's not safe. And I totally get it, right? I mean, the male species has done a lot of harm. So I know a lot of women kind of shy away from, well, I don't want to go out in nature alone because, like, if something bad's going to happen. Uh, so I get that part of it. So I mean, if you have a friend or someone to go to with, that's why I feel like I'm opening my circle too. I want women to experience that too. It's a powerful feeling. It's powerful being out in nature. Just, a few weeks ago you had the gentleman from Santa Cruz that was just talking about meditating and being silent. And it's like you could get that in nature. You're walking along, just meditating in your silence. And it's just like, you come to like accept that there's like a sometimes you find your clear answers and then sometimes you just come to the acceptance like, hey, there's nothing I could do about this. And you find that walking in the mountains. um Someone said Yosemite is my happy place. So since 2022 of January, I've been to Yosemite 89 times now. So Yosemite is my happy place too. Love Yosemite.
Well, we have Christy with her hand up, and we have lots and lots of comments of Looks like lots of our audience here loves outdoors, and Gretchen is asking, when is the next adventure?
I
Um,
am always I'm always on an adventure all the time. My schedule is changing a little bit because I have to do some adulting over the next year, but I'm constantly doing 3 or 4 day, like constantly 3 or 4 day trips. And Yosemite's in my backyard, so that gets a lot of my attention. I like to wander around the park, especially in the cold months because no one hardly goes and cold doesn't really affect me too much.
hmm. It looks like Christy does have a question. She has her
Yeah,
hand
yeah.
up.
Yeah, just a couple of comments first. I totally appreciate the nature thing. I'm not a mountaineer. I don't like the cold, but I've always said I think God lives in the mountains in St. George, like in those red rock cliffs. Like I go there and I'm pretty sure God is sitting there. Like I get that. So I love that. I also wanted to say thanks, for your vulnerability and love also the comments about like the softening of the heart. That's so fascinating that it came through a heart attack. That's a whole interesting thing. But I was curious about, you just said you have some adulting to do, and maybe that has to do with work or whatever. I'm curious what your relationship is with work now, because you had a very different dynamic probably before you were able to kind of go on your little sojourn for almost 2 years. So what is your relationship to work now? How do you stay in this spiritual centered place and get back into the business?
So I won't get back into the business ever again. I was a loan officer. I let my license expire. I lost all passion to do that. I don't have a whole lot of gears. It's either all in or nothing. And I realized in that business, I just drew all in out of me. I haven't worked in 27 months. I've just been living off real estate income. So when I say adulting, the next year I'm building my first small house. It's called an ADU. And then I'll work part-time as a substitute teacher. I just had my application approved for that. So for the next year, I want to work and build my small house. And then once that's done, I want to hit Europe and Asia for a year or two.
Nice.
How
I love
fun.
that answer. That's cool.
And yeah, St. George is beautiful. I've been to Zion National Park 6 times now in all the seasons, winter, summer, spring, fall. So I love Utah. I've been to the Mighty Five. I've been to a lot of the state parks there too. Utah is very special to me. It's a very healing place.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Noah. Any other reflections, questions while we have Noah on our call here? Maggie, Christina, Gretchen, Jackie, Diana, any comments?
I will
Josh?
tell you, I would like to, if I could put together, oh, Josh is on here. What's up,
Yeah.
Josh? I like to put together, because I do this for the men a lot, and I do it for the men a lot, and I've done it for my son and his friends and cousins all through my life. I'd really like to take a group of women out, like to Yosemite, and just basically camp and do day hikes. And I love to cook and have campfires and you know my own separate tent, obviously, those things like that. But that's something that I'd like to do. I think that would be a really cool experience, and I just need the people to show interest, and I'll put that together.
It looks
Showing
like we have
it,
Chris-
showing it, Chris.
looks like Christina was our first
Would love that.
volunteer.
I'll tell you, if you're ever my guest in the mountains, your well-being is my priority. My guests are not cold. I learned to make it real enjoyable for my son when he was a little boy. So never was he cold, never was he hungry, like always safe. Like I am a shepherd and I'm a protector of people. So I want it to be a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Your energy certainly resonates with that. I would have zero doubt whatsoever. Thank you.
Looks like Diana has a thumbs up as well. She's the second person to sign up. maybe Jackie looks like as well. Mhm.
I was just going to comment also. Sorry, I'm driving, so I'm trying to be cautious. No, this is Gretchen. What I would say also is just continue to pray about the taking the youth out. I am a high school administrator, and my heart is with young people. Discipleship for sure. It is where I am rooted in, and there's just such a need for men to disciple young and just to share their testimony, right? And to share their story. Like, it doesn't have to be rooted in all of this Christianese or this, these special words. Just the power of sharing your testimony and what you've been through with young men. I'm gonna stand in agreement with you and pray in that God would open up an opportunity for you to take that group. I have a young man, and my daughters just recently got married. He is 27, and I'm forever connecting him with men very similar to you, because I just think that there's power in that have a safe space of a community of men to be able to just do life with, share a cup of coffee with, share a meal with, walk with, talk with, hike with. It's just so necessary. So thank you also for your vulnerability and being willing to just complete strangers, or at least I don't know you, but just share your authenticity.
No,
You're very
I would love to work with you on something like that. I mean, I just want to say it. If whatever you're doing with that, I want to help. I feel inspired to, I'd be like, I mean, I'm just feeling like I feel fuzzy just even thinking of that. Like, yes, I want to help. I want to contribute.
All right, let's put our
Let's
minds
connect on
together
that.
and make it
Yeah.
happen. Yeah. And Gretchen,
I have a football coach at my school, Gilbert Salcido. He is my go-to for that, and I would love to connect you guys to him. He leads the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. He's a football coach. He has just a ministry heart. He's a pastor, and he does all of that with the youth at our school, the boys specifically. And yeah, if you men are down with that, I would love to connect you to Mr. Salcido, and Roosevelt High School is where I work. I would love, that community needs more boys having mentors. So for sure, let me know.
all right. It's a big deal. It's a big void in our society right now. It's really important. These young men need solid mentors around them. I see it. I know it. I'd love to do something about it. Take them in the mountains and teach them what's up. I think that's an awesome thing. If I can create another generation of mountain men, that'll be pretty fulfilling to me.
Half of our kids have never been to the mountains, let alone Yosemite. The furthest that we've been able to take them is Hume, and it's life-changing for them. So to take a group to Yosemite, these kids would probably pass out of the beauty. So I'm all over it. You guys let me know. We'll get a think tank together and make it happen.
I love Hume Lake. I've been, I think, to 5 men's retreats, and I've done 2 with my son. So he joined me. So love Hume.
And similarly, Gretchen's my little bestie, so we're always trying to figure out how to disciple to people. And I feel like this last year I've been in a Jesus Culture School of Leadership, and what God revealed through me, that process is I'm in the marketplace, and not everybody is blessed enough to be a millionaire at your age and then be able to just quit and live our best lives, right? But my heart is really about, how do you minister to people in the marketplace and be able to find some balance? Because the majority of us can't, right? Just, take off a whole year. So any tips for how to encourage that? Or I try to model it, like I'm a single mom, but I'm constantly scheduling like my week-long self-care vacations. And thank you for affirming me, because I'm always going camping or hiking by myself, and my friends like Gretchen are saying I'm crazy. And it's like, what, if I'm going to die, I'd rather die in the mountains. It's beautiful, But I think tips for trying to encourage people to just do like balance, right? You have to schedule this time in. Otherwise, those of us that are super passionate about work, your life is consumed by work, right? And it's difficult to balance. So any tips for how to encourage other professionals or high achievers, You know, I'm a disc D, I'm an Enneagram 8, right? We want to change the world. So how do you encourage people who are highly driven to find the balance that we all need?
You know, I think probably a part of it is the disconnect from any type of materialism. You know, if it's like if you're looking at your monthly budget and you're just blowing money on every single thing, and you got the car payments and you got the big house payments and you're constantly doing the remodels, you're pretty much just setting yourself up to do that and do that and do that and do that. You know, it's when you realize how much little you need. I mean, I have less now and I have complete joy. So, you know, I think an awakening needs to happen in this country. Like, you don't need everything. Those things don't make you happy. Like, be simple, live simply. I shop at the thrift store now all the time and I like it. Um, I think that's a big part of it because we put ourselves in a position where we don't have any other choice. And I saw that in my career as a loan officer, like constantly. Like, do you have to spend all this money every single day on all these things? And once you're in that cycle, real hard to break free. I think that's a big part of it. For those that are in the cycle, I mean, you know, just scheduling, just putting it on the schedule, just making sure that, hey, protecting that time. You know, if you only get your weekends, protect that time. Say, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to protect it. I'm going to spend it here with my family. No distractions. Maybe those are a couple of the different pieces of advice that I could offer.
I would add to that. I have a regular self-care routine that I do every morning, and then I also do a little bit in the afternoon. But it's so important to schedule, like prioritize you. Put on your oxygen mask first before helping others, before the job, before the children, before life, right? You are more important. When you invest in you and you're in a state of you're taking care of your needs, then life flows so much better, right? It's just about, like you said, the balance. What is that balance? Well, it starts with you, it starts with us.
I will say I do have my Toastmasters. I was invited to do a TED Talk, so I have to do this Toastmasters. It's pretty important. It's like a big deal to me. I'm going to connect with Noe. I'd really like to. Youth are always on my heart. Just, you know, like I said, I grew up taking my son and his friends and his cousins. I mean, we were doing annual trips all the time, so I love that part of it. I also love the idea of that I could shepherd and have a group of women out in Yosemite and just have a really beautiful experience, right? So Noe, I'd like to partner with you on both of those things. Yosemite is a super healing place for me. I mean, from the giant massive sequoias. I mean, I was just there this last weekend, just like under this massive sequoia, just meditating and praying and thanking God, right? I mean, this thing is like a scene from Avatar. There was no one around, like just this massive, massive tree that can't even, you would think it's not real. So that park is a super healing place for me. And, you know, when you do these hikes, you're not necessarily side by side with someone talking the whole way. A lot of times, like you're have distance and you're just in your own thoughts, and it's really powerful. So, I mean, Yosemite just has the scenery is just completely out of this world. And, you know, I like to cold plunge too. No, I'm all over the place jumping in glacier waters. And that's
Right.
a whole nother level of like, just like, I don't know what it is. It's like, there's like this healing thing to it. Like I was just at the park this weekend and I was cold plunging under Yosemite Lower Falls. I was the only one there. And just being in that freezing water and then getting out, it's just like a renewal. So I'm not saying that everyone has to do that,
We
but
don't
I
want to scare
love to do
everyone away yet. But you know what? There is a thing. There's a man that does that as part of the meditation practice. I won't butcher his name because I don't quite recall it, but it is a thing and it is very healing. But I don't want to keep you from your Toastmasters. I'm so thankful to
Thank
have
you.
you here and always having you on our calls. You are a shining light and inspiration, and I'm glad that you're able to share your inspiring story with all of us. And definitely, let's continue that conversation. I am also, I want to support you in doing that and support our youth and support whatever it is that you're doing, even though not even close to how much
No,
senior as you are, but you know, you'll guide us and we'll listen and we'll do that. And whatever I can contribute, I'll contribute and we'll make it a beautiful thing. Thank you,
thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Take care, everyone. God bless you guys. Josh, thank you, man. God bless you.
Have a great day. Bye.
You.
Bye-bye.
Love you guys.
Bye.